the best place to start to talk about creation is obviously Genesis 1, the story of creation in 6 days, 7 days, depends how you look at it. Both expressions are good. So we're going to play a game, and I'm going to put 6 cards on the screen, and then you try to pick an order. Maybe you write that on a piece of paper, and what I suggest is then when I show them, well, then you can just pause the video and then look at them, write them down, and then just press play and we'll keep on looking at them. So here they are. You know the 7 days of creation, the 7th is God that rests. It's not part of those. So what you see there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but you have to put them in proper order. Try to do it without looking at your Bible. And then when you're ready, you just press play again and I'll give the answers. Good luck. So, you got it? You think you have the proper order? So let's check them out. Day number 1, God creates light. He actually says that may the light come forth, and that's what happens. And God saw that the light was good. God separated the light from the darkness. And there was evening, there was morning. That was the first day. Then God separates the waters above and the waters below. And we'll see in a few slides what that means with cosmology. Cosmology, what the Earth, how people would imagine the Earth was a long time ago. So we will look into that. But for now, let's just go with that expression. There are waters above and waters below. Day number 3, the continent. So God separates the ocean from the continent, makes the continent appear, and then says that the land may produce vegetation, and that's what happens. God saw it was good. There was night, there was morning. That was the 3rd day. On the 4th day, God puts the lights in the firmament. So there's the big light for the day, the little light for the night. That would be the moon. The big one is the sun. And then he places all of the stars on the firmament. He saw that it was good. There was night, morning. That was the 4th day. On the 5th, God speaks to the waters and says, may there be an abundance of fish. And then looks at the sky and say, let there be an abundance of birds. And it was so. God saw that it was good. It was night, it was morning. That was the 5th day. And on the 6th day, God speaks to the land and says, let there be animals of all kinds. And then God says, let us make humans in our image, in our likeness, man and woman. That's how we create them. And then gives a commandment to them to be fruitful, to multiply, and to have dominion and submit the creatures. And finally, when God saw everything he had made, he saw it was very good. There was evening, there was morning, and on the 7th day, God rested. Okay? So 6 days of really creating things, and on the 7th day, he rests. All of these mosaics I just showed you come from the Cattedrale di Monreale in Sicily, in southern Italy. And so this cathedral is just amazing. There are so many stories of the Bible, and when you know that they're made with little mosaics, little pieces stuck together to make all these wonderful colors and wonderful stories, So you can look that up if you're interested, but that's where these pictures come from. So when we look at this sequence, it's quite strange. So why this strange sequence? Light, and then ocean, continent, vegetation, celestial bodies, fish, birds, and land animals to finish off with. And including land animals, there's the human being. So why this sequence? Well, from a scientific point of view, that sequence doesn't make a lot of sense. But from a narrative point of view, it really does. And by putting the cards in this order, it really helps to understand. So you put day 1, 2, 3 on top, and then days 4, 5, 6 below. And what do we see? Well, on the first day, God separates the light from the darkness. Well, He creates light and then separates the light from the darkness. So here we have a first separation. It's kind of creating space there. On the second day, rather than having water all around, it says that the Spirit of God was hovering over the water. Well, now, rather than having just a bunch of water, there's a separation. There's like this bubble of air inside this huge, huge mass of water, with waters above and waters below. And now God is creating this space on earth. And day 3, separating the continent from the ocean, and also creating the trees. But what we see on the first 3 days is God really creating space. And on day 4, 5, 6, God is now populating that space. First, we start with the sky. Okay? And if God on day 1 creates the light, on day 4 He's creating creatures of light. So there's the sun and the moon and the stars. So the sun and the moon can move independently of the firmament. And by the way, they're not named sun and moon because in most cultures around, sun is a sun god and moon is a moon god. So giving them those names inside of the Bible, we would feel kind of a competition with the Creator God. So they're just called the luminaries. There's these lights in the sky. And one for the day, one for the night. We understand it's sun and moon, but they're not named because they were considered gods in neighboring cultures. So they can move independently. And then we have all the stars that are, I don't know, kind of like light bulbs that are screwed in. they're in this rigid dome, the vault, the dome. And at night, you probably sat down and watched this. You can see that the stars move with time around Polaris, around the northern star. If you live in the southern hemisphere, the stars would be moving around the Southern Cross. But okay, northern hemisphere, the North Star, Polaris, all the stars move around that. And so they're following like this vault. That's the effect. Just like in a planetarium, you see the stars moving around. And so yeah, interesting creatures on day 4, light creatures. On day 5, we have creatures in the water and creatures in the air. But just notice that that's what happened on day 2. The creation of waters and air. So now God is populating those spaces. And on day 6, well, just like day 3, land was created. On day 6, now it's animals on land. And then humans have a special role there. So another really interesting fact is that what could be considered type of evolution or anyway classification of things humans are superior to the other creatures on those days, just like the trees are the non-living creatures that are on top. What do I mean by that? Well, on day 1, 2, 3, it's just the spaces and it's inanimate objects. A tree doesn't move and it doesn't have blood. So for that reason, it's not considered alive in the Bible. But then on day 4, 5, 6, those things are considered alive. So for the animals, it's obvious they have blood, so they're alive. But what about the luminaries? What about the stars? Well, they're alive because they move. That's why. Okay. And yeah, so that's the logic. So basically, on day 1, 2, 3, God creates the spaces, and day 4, 5, 6, God populates those spaces. So that's why this poem is so amazing. Genesis 1 is great. Well, because from a narrative point of view, it makes a lot of sense. And what are we? We're humans. So we feel this special place in creation, and then the more we go back, the farther away they are from our reality. I mean, we are closer to a four-legged animal in our relation than we are to birds or to fish. We don't experience having air under our wings or being surrounded by water like that every day. But the land animals, we have more in common with them. So we're created on the same day. Okay, so it's a beautiful, beautiful poem that's saying so much. And that idea between day 3 and 6, that the human is like a tree. So the tree is the most evolved mineral from a biblical point of view. In Psalm 1, we have this beautiful parallel between the tree and a human being. Happy are those who delight in the law of the Lord, and on his law they meditate day and night. They're like trees planted by streams of water, which yield their fruit in its season, and their leaves do not wither.